Right. Good evening, everyone. And we are here again. It's a Tuesday evening. And welcome to another episode of Authentic Dialogue with Tato. We are on episode number 6. Can you believe it? We are moving quite swiftly. This evening, we are joined by a very good friend and long-term good friend of mine that I've actually known since I was 12, since we were both 12. We've known each other since we were both 12. Actually, at boarding school, we went to the same boarding school. And Miss Kitchen, or Nick Kitchen, is the one who's joining us this evening. And today, she and I will be dialoguing about consistency and authenticity. And I'll tell you shortly as I introduce you why I thought she would be perfect for this topic. So Onikishin is also my home girl. We're both from Kuruman, small town of Kuruman. So yeah, she says she's found her purpose to inspire, to teach, and to empower others. And that the most important part of her life is raising an equally empowered girl, her daughter. That she's by taking her ideas to heart as she manages her kidpreneurship journey. So One and her daughter are both entrepreneurs. And then I suppose hence one of her titles is more measure. I actually pronounced it badly just before we went live, and she corrected me. So One, welcome to this session, and please, as you just introduced briefly, tell us about this role as more measure and what exactly it means, because it was the first time I heard of it through you. So I'm sure there's people like me. I would love to believe that I'm not the only one.
Thank you so much for having me, Tato, and this momager thing. Okay, a momager is someone who is a mom. I'm a mom. I'm a mom to a beautiful 9-year-old daughter, and also manages the career of their kids. It's a social title, momager. A lot of people use it, especially in entertainment, I think, but it's when somebody is a mom but also manages their kids' careers.
Wow. Okay, so that's very interesting. I have a very quick question before we move on that.
Okay.
When you say kids' career, is it coming from the child that this is my career, or are you sort of, how parents are you driving that
Mm.
career? Who came up with that career, that passion, and say, I want to do this? Is it you or the child?
It is her. It's actually her who said, Mommy, I wanna sell things. And so my role is to inspire her, to guide her, and to help her manage her business. But the whole idea is hers.
That is amazing. That is really fantastic. Thank you for that explanation on it, and I'm really looking forward to a very meaningful and deep dialogue with you this evening. So as I said, Oni is going to help me have a conversation around consistency in any dialogue. So as I continue to introduce her, I will tell you that, as I mentioned, Oni and I met when we were 12. And it's true to God, ever since I've known this lady, she's been consistent in her authenticity, right? She's not apologetic about who she is. She is true to herself to the core in every situation. And I remember that another friend of ours at the time, being Otlo, we would say, hey, we'll get on it, because we knew One was not scared of anything or anyone. Any situation was not big for her. And I suppose it was because of this confidence in her, in who she was. So we'll get back into that. Um, but just to introduce the topic a little bit, I love this quote by Carl Jung, who said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And I'm going to say it again because I think it's so profound. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So on just an introduction question, would you say that you have become, and I have got my own opinion about you, but I would love to hear from you. Would you say that you have become who you truly are, and why would you say that?
Yes, I would. I'd say that because first of all, we are all responsible for our own self. We are all responsible for who we become, our personality. It's a choice, and I think it was obviously not an overnight thing. We grow, we change, but I think along the way I managed to know where I stand my ground, and I managed to decide that, you know what, this is who I am, and I accept me for who I am. And lucky for those who also accept who I am in whatever way they see it, whether it's positive or negative, but I'd like to believe positive.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with you that it's not easy, and it continues to be challenging, right?
Mm,
Just, remaining in who you are and drawing onto your core values and who you really are. And research shows that authenticity and not personality consistency is the key contributing factor to well-being. So really this thing of just tapping in and being consistent on who you truly are contributes as well to well-being, because challenges will come, things will change, life will happen. But I love that there's the studies from research shows that authenticity, and it specifically say not personality consistency, because what it then explains is personality consistency is then your personality, you react to the same way to different situations. And I think authenticity is just being comfortable in who you are, that you know how you
mm.
navigate the different circumstances. I think that's the major differences. And Honor, would you say that you've gotten that right? And as you say, it's not an easy thing, it's not an overnight thing, but you've managed to overcome that challenge and have that balance in your life.
Mm. And also, you are right. I agree with that. I agree with the fact that consistency is the core of authenticity, because whatever challenge comes up, you know that you know where you stand. And also it's the thing of acceptance, accepting circumstances as they come. So if you are able to bear it, situations become bearable and things work out better if you are consistent every time with how you respond, how you respond to challenges, with how you respond to anything that life throws at you.
And
And I think, oh sorry, I think even with the decisions that I've had to make in a lot of areas in my life, in the decisions that I've ever had to make, I always think back of, you know, things will never work out. We plan, we make goals, but it doesn't mean that things will turn out the way that we want or the way that we think. And if you have acceptance and consistency as some of your values, then you won't struggle with how you deal with situations. You won't struggle with how you deal with challenges as they come up.
mm, the beauty of talking to people that you know is that you can confirm and attest that they actually practice what they preach. And I think that's one of the blessings on Authentic Dialogues with Tato, especially on this season, is that all the people that I'm talking to I actually do know. So why I'm saying that is exactly what you just said, One, about acceptance is what I've consistently seen in you. Like literally consistently. And I mean, you and I have gone through so many things together. I've witnessed you go through a lot of life cycling things as we were growing together. And one thing that I admire about you in many of those challenges was to accept. And actually reminds me of my late mother, because my mother also had that strength, which I absolutely admire. And I think it helps. You are right. Now, a big task on the authenticity journey is really facing some truths about the self and dealing with that truth, right? So
Mm,
accepting this truth and being honest and sincere with the self. And sometimes we ignore some truths about ourselves. And I suppose that makes the journey even more difficult. So as I said, I've known you for many years, and I've known you not to be affected easily by these external pressures. So what truths have you had to face about yourself? And how did you deal with that? How did you get to accept this truth, and how did it help you in your authenticity?
You know, like I said, that there are things that I always go back and think of. I learned very early on in life that things, like I said, if things don't work out, then I know at least where I stand. And I've had truths, as you call it. I've had truths that have forced me to come out and say, you know what, this is me, and this is how I'm going to make it work. And if I've done it before this way, then it will work. I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a lot of examples, but I'll give you I'll give you
Go
one
ahead.
maybe that you also could relate to or think back to. Remember when about 10 years ago, that sounds like a long time ago. Remember 10 years ago, I had to come back home. I had to from Joburg.
Yeah.
And I was faced, it was a very messy change. You know, it was a very messy change. I had a new mouth to feed. I was a new mother, and everything was just a mess. And I was working as a marketer doing research. Imagine traveling all over the country every month doing research. I had to go from that to becoming a consultant at a bank at half a salary. And it was my reality. I had to deal with it. It was my reality, and I had to make it work. And that's why I'm saying, if you are consistent, it makes you come out better in challenges. It doesn't mean that you don't feel the pain of challenges. It doesn't mean that, it just simply means at least you have a tool. You know, a tool is acceptance and knowing how to deal with those circumstances.
I actually remember that time very well. And I had almost forgotten that you had worked in a bank as a consultant when you left Joburg. And that's what, and exactly the stuff that I admire you. But one thing that I want to ask on it is when you say you have a tool, and that is acceptance. Surely that acceptance comes from a deep source of strength, source of I don't know, of higher power, or something that you believe in, you absolutely believe in, that gives you that courage, that gives you that tenacity to push through and to persevere. What is that thing for you? Because you can't just accept things unless you have hope and the know without any shadow of doubt that things will get better, that the situation is actually only temporary.
I live by, and you know that, I live by things always work out for the best. I think I even said that to you sometime this week, you know, things always work out for the best. You know, that has always worked for me. And I'm really grateful for all the knowledge I've ever received from reading, from knowing God, from, you know, so, but my, if I can call it my motto in life, is that things always work out for the best, and they do. You know, I never lose that. I will never ever lose that.
You know, it's very encouraging. I'm saying that because I don't know how to articulate. It's very encouraging, but what I've seen is for some people, especially when it's not you going through. So let's say it's me, right, going through that, and then I come to you as a friend and I say, Zala, please help me with this, or I'm stressing, I'm going through that. How you approach that is exactly how you would approach it if you were going through it. But for somebody who stresses, and I'm not saying that's me, for somebody who panics and stresses and is not really as accepting as you are, might
Mm.
might take that as lack of empathy or
Yeah.
interest in how you do that. And I wonder if you've experienced that, because you did it exactly with ease, with like, ah, it will be fine, you know, just that acceptance. And the person is sort of expecting you to like stress with them or feel this thing, but you're not, you just so calm and say, it will be over, this too shall pass, and things will be better again. Have you experienced where another person on the other side is sort of feeling that you are not being empathetic to their situation, just simply because of how you deal with the difficulties and other things?
I have, and that's why recently I wrote an article on toxic positivity. So toxic positivity is sort of shoveling me wanting you to sort of, I'm not understanding, like, or like you say, I'm not being empathetic towards your situation, and I'm just saying it as if it's simple. I'm saying it as if we're not supposed to feel pain. And I think maybe I've been guilty of that also. But I don't think acceptance means you don't allow yourself to go through things. You know, acceptance is based on what do you believe in. You know, like you were asking me just now, what makes it much easier for me. And different people have different ways of dealing with things, and different people have what the core of what makes it easy for them to deal with stuff. So for somebody going through it, it's not that you're not being empathetic. It is just that that's how you deal with it. You are sharing on how you deal with it. You are sharing with them what you believe in. But if we could all learn on how to let people go through their stuff, but also find, you know, it's as I'm a very nurturing person, so I will always find words to comfort you, to nurture you, and say it will be fine. But that doesn't mean I'm saying don't go through it, you know?
Yeah. I hear you. I think, I suppose it just, for me, how the other person, how it lands on the other person, it just depends on where they are on this journey as well, on you know, on accepting, on their beliefs. As you said, you know, you have this faith and belief that things will be better, because some people just like dwelling in the negative, in, oh my god, I'm going through this, and they want you to, you know, to wallow with them in the self-pity party, you know, that they're having. And when you're not doing that, for them it's not support enough, which is not necessarily true,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so we've seen that, we've seen how some people misinterpret that. And on it, how have you become, you know, conscious of yourself? Because surely this requires a level of self-awareness and being conscious of the self, right? For you to be operating at this level, this deep level of acceptance when things go wrong, for the ability to tap within yourself. Surely it also has to do with self-consciousness in the self, but also self-belief in your abilities to move past whatever situation that you may be dealing with.
It's pointless. I always tell myself that it's pointless to dwell on why will something go wrong, or why did something go wrong, or what will people say, and that doesn't help. You know, that doesn't help the situation, that doesn't help myself. So that's how I think that's one of the things that have I'm very intentional about my happiness. I'm very intentional about what I want and how I want it, so that helps.
I think being deliberate is important, and intention is another topic on its own that I absolutely love and I believe in as well. It goes with communication, it goes with pursuing your dreams. It's absolutely anything that you do. If that intention is there, then you can do it. So some of the literature, right? Some of the literature contains that this consistency sometimes mean means that you need to be prepared to go at it alone, whatever it may be, right? So it may be that people go right and you go left, or something.
Yeah.
There's consistency. Have you ever had to make this decision to go at it alone? And what was it like for you?
I have, I think many times actually.
Yeah.
And before I answer you, I'm gonna share with you something that I always share with my clients. So as a business consultant, people would come to me, I wanna do a business and this is my idea. And okay, then advice sounds great, let's get on with it. Then they say, no, I want to bring in Tato and who, my friend in it. I'm like, stop. That's, because in any group, I tell them you must watch in any group, whether it's friendship goals, whether it's business, whether it's couples goals, whatever, in any group of people that are doing something to achieve a goal, there will always be the one who started the idea, and the one who started idea is the one who's the most passionate and driving it and putting in a lot of effort. And those are the ones that also get the most frustrated. Those are the ones that get the most frustrated, because now the other ones are sitting at the back seat, they are relaxed, they don't care how it turns out. So going into it alone makes sense, because it's your goal, it's your vision. Then it means you will put in a lot of effort, and you will, when it comes to consistency, because you know what you want, it's your vision, it will be done proper instead of doing it with a group of people. So I've faced that in a situation where I was starting a business with someone, and it didn't work out because it was my idea. It was like I was forcing them. So I always give that example out.
So and how was that leaving that and going your own way? How was that separation for you?
It was okay. At first I thought, will I be able to do this on my own though? But then the light bulb came on. You know what, this is my idea, this is how I want it, and it's better that now I'm alone, because I don't now have to go to the other person and say, what do you think, how do you think we should do this, and get their opinions or whatever.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is sometimes fear is the thing that stands in our way to want to do this together, because and then stops us from there's consistency, because as I said, it says is the acceptance and realization that I may have to go on my way, on my own. But we also do know that on your own it's much difficult, much challenging on your own than with somebody else, because then you're bearing all this burden and the load alone. Whatever that comes, you have to deal it with you alone. So what I'm hearing you say is sometimes you just need to face it heads on, and put the fear aside and tap into your own inner abilities, but also be driven by that vision, because at the end of the day, if that vision came from you.
Exactly. And if it doesn't work out, at least you are not going to blame anyone. You're not going to say, Tato made me fail. You are on your own.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So how did you develop the courage to define your own version of what it is to be successful, or what successful life look like, and to live in that way?
It is understanding that I come first. I think I've already mentioned it, I don't know. Understanding that I come first, I'm responsible for my own action, like I was just said now, I don't have to blame anyone. And knowing that let's be honest, all of us, our ultimate goal in life is happiness. So happiness is key, and being intentional about it.
And owning your own happiness, and not leaving it in somebody else's hands, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, your courage is something that I've always witnessed in you, right? It's almost like something that just, honestly, it's something that it almost like something that is natural or second nature that just comes easily for you, irrespective of what's happening. How do you develop this courage as a 12-year-old? Come on, as a 12-year-old, to have this courage to do things that other people are like, no, maybe not now.
I don't know where it comes from, honestly. I'm serious. I don't know where it comes from, but right now I know what I know for sure now is that understanding who I am and understanding that I come first is as simple as that for me.
Great, great. Comfortable in your own skin. I think that's very important. Now, coming to terms with being in a very materialistic world, I think we've spoken about this in one or two episodes, even in the introductory video. And coming to terms with this material world, with encountering external forces, right, outside of your own beliefs, acceptance, and values, and pressures thereof, the influences in the external forces can be quite challenging. And I think it requires some skill, right, to navigate and to thrive amidst all these forces and influences. It actually requires a different way of thinking. For you, why is this important, and particularly as an entrepreneur, right? Why is it so important to be able to build this muscle of just ignoring the external forces and doing things your way and being consistent at it?
I think if you have, I will say it again and again and again. If you are able to accept your situation, because entrepreneurship, if you're talking about entrepreneurship, it's you are talking about something else now. It's not glamorous. There's nothing glamorous about entrepreneurship. You can go months without an income, and you can't be sabawelling things when you know that you have to make your business work, and you might spend the next 4 months without any income at all. So if you have discipline, let's say if you have discipline, it needs discipline. It needs you to be consistent with who you are and what you want, and not allow the pressures, not allow the outside pressures to come in and change. And Tato, just simply being happy with your situation and being content with where you are helps also.
Yeah, because I mean, you are right, and I love the word you used around discipline, right? Discipline, we know it's easier said than done, but there needs to be that willpower, and something has to drive you. For me, having discipline is that something almost have to drive you, something bigger than yourself, something much larger than yourself. And that's where that willpower then gets ignited, and it pushes you to do things that you never even imagined that you could do, right? But having that discipline, so you say having a discipline, knowing who you are again, accepting who you are and your situation, then helps you to almost block this external forces and influences that are around you, and only allow what you feel is going to do you good, something that will help you nudge you and direct you in the journey and the way, that the path that you ought to be going, that's in line with your vision and your goals. Am I hearing you correctly?
That's exactly what I mean.
Okay, so now continuing on this entrepreneurship topic, how has this journey of being an entrepreneur taught you about authenticity? What has it taught you really about authenticity, in addition to what you already knew? Or if it's not much, but what is it, has it emphasized rather about authenticity?
It's so easy for, especially now in the times that we live in, with social media, with everything happening around us, in setting goals according to age. I think we used to do it so wrong. We used to do it so wrong that by the time I'm 30, I want this and that and that and that. And entrepreneurship has taught me that there's no such. What you achieve has nothing to do with other people, has nothing to do with age, because there are other things that will happen and get in the way. So you have to go through this journey, being authentic, having a backbone. Otherwise you will be lost. Otherwise you'll be lost. And the reason I emphasize that entrepreneurship is not glamorous is that a lot of us get into it thinking it's easy, thinking it's glamorous. We watch movies where we have people at Starbucks on their MacBook, and it looks glamorous. It's nothing.
And they
like
own their time and they own everything, and they're like, it's
they have
glamorous.
plenty of time in their hands. You leave your job saying, I won't be working long hours anymore. You'll be working longer hours in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So you need to be consistent also. You need to learn. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. We talked about discipline, and you said it's better. What did you say? It's better said than done. Something like that.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. Discipline, it took me years to become disciplined. It took me years to become consistent with how I run my business. I can't tell you how much I've changed my business models and, felt this is not working. This might be work. But I'm glad that at least I know the ultimate goal, and that helped me focus and to never give up and be consistent in it.
Yeah, I just want to tap on that, just to clarify, when you say you've changed your business model so many times, that has got nothing to do with your inability to be disciplined or consistent. You know what I mean? It's not the consistency we're talking about here, because it is important that you change your business model actually for you to succeed, because you need to be agile enough to adapt, because life happens, right? And things are moving at a very exponential. The change is exponential at a very rapid change. Things change completely. So if you are stuck in this is my business model, you will simply not survive. You'll be irrelevant. So so I just want to say, I mean, that's a very good thing. It's not a bad thing. I also love what you said about having a backbone. I think that is incredibly powerful, right? Because especially in business, but I think everywhere, as a leader in business, everywhere, in order for people to take you seriously, it's one of the things that you have to do. You have to have a backbone, because lack of backbone, and then it results in this inconsistency. And when you're inconsistent, people cannot trust you. Your credibility is down the drain. You can't even walk the street and people say, this is the woman. So I love the thing about backbone, because it's one of the strengths that we have, right? And it's one of the things that makes us authentic. You have a backbone, because people may come and say, but One, really, you want to be a marketer? And you say, exactly, that's what I want to do, because you've got a vision, you are content with who you are completely in tune with your abilities, with your values. You have no doubt about your values, about your abilities, your capability, and your capacity to actually deliver the stuff that you want to do. So backbone, I think, is of utmost important in this conversation. And there's nothing annoying as talking to somebody who doesn't have a backbone or dealing with such a person. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
No, I was adding to that it is. Imagine having to say yes all the time, and not having a backbone, and people who don't have a backbone also have this tendency of what will people say, and if you are real with who you are, you won't have that thing of what will people say. You'll just do you.
Do you, boo? Do you, boo? I absolutely love that because I mean, one of the things that I always say, especially when I'm mentoring young people, one of the things that I consistently say is that your vision is your vision alone, right? No one else need to understand it. It need not make sense to any other person
Not, it
except
doesn't have
you.
to. Mm.
Right, and it doesn't have to, and it is okay if they don't get it. It's absolutely fine. It's not for anyone else to understand, but it's for you to pursue with everything that you've got. So there's this thing of, I know that one of our basic needs as human beings is the need to be accepted, the need to be assured and reaffirmed
Reassured,
and
yeah.
stuff. And yeah, exactly right. And I think that need sometimes is the one that is our own what is the word, um our stumbling block, because then I'm waiting for One to say, yo, Tata, that's a very good idea, I think it makes sense, go for it. And if One says, no, this I don't think this is feasible, then I'm already, pulling down, then I'm not going to go anywhere, really. I'm not going to end up anywhere. So I love
Mm.
that, absolutely love that.
Okay.
So Anna, we have 10 more minutes before we have to wrap up. I think I'm having so much fun that
Okay.
I
That went
can't
by
believe.
fast.
Yeah, I know it goes so fast. I can't believe that it went out. So I just want to, in the 10 minutes, just as I was making notes as we were talking. I just want to reiterate some of the keywords that came through. And if you wanna again something that you feel, as I'm mentioning these keywords, something that you wanna emphasize or tell a story about, then you're welcome to do that. I mean, we spoke at the very beginning about acceptance, which is something that we've actually consistently spoken about through this whole conversation. Acceptance of self, acceptance of the situation, acceptance of everything. It just makes it easy for one. And then you said in one of your articles that you've recently published, you talk about toxic positivity, right? And you mentioned that that's something that you speak about when I was talking about truth about the self, that we have to learn and accept to move beyond and to become who we are. We also spoke about the need to be disciplined in how we do things, and it helps with consistency. But we also talk about some of the challenges and realities of being an entrepreneur, right? And the lessons
Mm.
that you learned from it. And in your own words, you said that it is not glamorous. It is not glamorous as people make it out to be. So for me, this is a very rich conversation, and I want to check in with you if there's anything that you want to tap back on before we start to wrap up our session.
Okay. I think we've said a lot, but I'd I'd just like to emphasize that there is nothing wrong with starting over if you have to start over. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of us had to start over so many times. It's become part of us. There's nothing wrong with that. I admire people who start over, and I admire people who are true to themselves and do not care what will other people say. That would be my parting words. I really
You know, and,
enjoyed
and
the conversation.
unfortunately, that's not your parting words, because that sparked a question. I'm sorry.
Ah,
It sparked a question.
that's
So you
hard.
said, and I think that's very powerful. And I'm going to allow you to say it again, but it's not your closing words. So, I mean,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with starting over, and starting over is okay. But what makes you so secure, right? What makes you so secure in yourself to say, I'm actually going to start over? I'm going to close this chapter and I'm happy to start over, even if starting over it means going for half, because you said you moved from Joburg, and when you went to back home, you went to a salary that was half what you were earning here. What makes you so secure in yourself to make the decision, the bold decision to start over?
If for me, if you don't start over, it means you are stuck. You know, I don't like being stuck. I don't like things that don't work. I like moving on. You know, there's nothing as thrilling as moving on, even if it's a painful start over. At least you know that ultimately things will be all right. And it takes me back to that thing of saying, I know for sure that everything will turn out for the best.
Wow. I don't
There's
like being
absolutely
stuck.
nothing wrong with starting over, guys. I wish I could tell a lot of people this. I wish I could scream it on mountains. There's nothing wrong with starting over.
And I believe that because I've started over myself.
Mm,
I've
I
seen
know.
you start over, you've seen me start over. There's
Mm,
absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, like you're saying, it is so liberating. It is so liberating because you listen, there's so many lessons that comes with your previous chapter that you're closing for you to start over. You are a
mm,
better person, you are more experienced, you are wiser. All right, when you start
exactly.
over, you're starting over empowered. You're not starting over with nothing. You're starting over with
Mm.
this wealth of experience that you've gained
Otherwise, we don't
from the.
grow.
You don't
Uh,
grow. You don't grow. Absolutely. And you don't move forward. You're going around. And you know, the sad part on it, like we may be saying that easily, but this is sad. The sad reality is that there's people who actually live like that because they want to maintain a certain status that people have known them
mm,
for, because for whatever reason they may, but they'd rather go around in circle in the same place, but because they don't want to start over, because they don't
yeah,
understand. So I'm encouraged by what you're saying, and I want to inspire somebody there, right?
mm,
Because both of us have seen each other start over, not once, but more times, right? And we
mm.
say, here we are. It's doable. It's done, and you can live.
Exactly. Did you
You can
die?
survive. No, I'm here. You are here. Yeah, but I think Onya, once again, this has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I said when I was talking to my aunt, Dr. Mokele, I think 2 episodes ago, that I thought it was going to be challenging because we know each other on a very, very personal level. And it was the same with this one. With this episode, but I think we did absolutely well. So once again, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your insights, for sharing those insights so authentically, so with us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tato. And we love these authentic dialogues. You know, it's they always spark something new, and I've seen very interesting women through them, and even made friends with them on Facebook.
Okay.
And they are very inspiring. So thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Yeah, so I think just my last words from me is really three things that come to mind as I'm wrapping up this session is really having a warrior mindset, right? For you to be consistent in your authenticity journey is to develop and nurture a warrior mindset, because I want to tap in what Ona said as well, that um you can only, like, you need to believe in yourself and everything happens exactly, as it should. So, and then never having a victim mentality. I think that's what I gained
Mm,
from this conversation as well. It's like, I just accept things and move on, and we're not saying don't feel the pain, we're not saying it's easy, but
mm,
don't get stuck on being a victim. So don't get rid of the victim mentality. And the third one for me is really to not allow situations to define you. So don't be defined by situations or circumstances. So for me, those three things would be the wrap up of this wonderful and fruitful session that we had this evening. Thank you also for joining us this evening. And I think I speak on behalf of both Orne and myself when I say I hope that there was something of value that you got from this session, or at least it sparked something, as Ona said. At least it sparked something in your thought, or it pushed you to get rid of whatever that you've been carrying. That's the only hope that we have from this session. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again in the next episode. Thank you, Ona.
mm.